And we're back here at the TACP RoundUp. Trent here with Lunch Ready Podcast, and I have with me Mr. Jeff Mullins, who we worked together before, so we're like best friends, right?
Well, that's what they say. I'm not sure.
one of the prep course, we call it Swick Now Plank Holders, right? You were there when we first started up.
Yeah, I remember.
What was your job when we started that? It's all kind of blurry because it was chaos.
Well, I started out as a trainer, with T3I.
That's right.
Yeah. And then, age got the best of me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and became a scheduler, and I was doing the scheduling.
That's right.
For the
I feel bad for not remembering every single detail, but you remember those days. They were crazy.
Shit, it's been, 6 years, I think?
Yeah. So you were a TACP for a long time?
Yeah.
I don't want to say too long. Like, I'm not calling you.
I was a TACP from 86 to 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of like in between all the craziness, right? But also things were going on.
Yeah. Well, of course, it was, our enemy at that time was the Soviet Union.
Right.
It was a Cold War. So, it was a different time. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure we capture it.
Yeah. The Cold War was a different time, especially for special warfare guys. We did a lot of training. We did a lot of training with our allies. I was in Germany for about 5 years. Did a lot of training with the Germans and the French and English. Talking about TACP operations, working with their aircraft, working with their TACPs, just doing some joint training with them. So really, the only operation that I was involved with was Desert Storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was that?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, and at that time I was with an armored unit. I was a TACP in an armored unit.
Okay.
So I was with the 3rd Brigade, 3rd ID. We ended up going to Desert Storm as the RoundUp Brigade for the 1st Armored Brigade because we were armor heavy. So we ended up being the lead brigade of the 7th Corps, crossing the berm into Iraq. And I don't know if you remember when, I know this is before your time, but
I mean, I was a child, but I remember some of it.
Yeah, you were probably in 3rd grade. Anyways, but you probably heard of the Hail Mary, where we went into Iraq and surrounded
the big pincher movement.
Yeah. Well, 7th Corps, 1st Armored Division, 3rd Armored Division. That's who actually did that. We went in there and we crossed the berm. We met a little bit of resistance, but then once we got into northern Iraq, we were catching all the Iraqis trying to escape north. So we ended up having a lot of battles with the Iraqi. They had special divisions. It wasn't just like the irregular ground panthers.
They're like their palace guard guys and all those things.
Yeah. They were the first ones to get out. Interesting.
Weird.
Anyway, so we had a couple battles with them. The most memorable thing that I remember from Desert Storm is we came upon a company of T-72s that were dug in, and they were just waiting on us.
Those are Russian tanks for...
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the battalion I was with, I was at the TOC, Tactical Operations Center. That was the level. But I was at the TOC, and the commander, he yelled, "Hey, Sergeant Mullins, Jeff, get over here." He called me by my first name. But anyways, he said, "Hey, man, we got 12 tanks that are dug in. We need to take them out before we come across them." Which they did. They like to use the Air Force before they use their own system. So, I called in a request, got approved, and for the next hour and a half, I had 4 F-16s, 4 A-10s come in and just bomb the shit out of it. Mavericks, laser guided, like AGM-65s, course, the A10 with the 30 millimeter was the shit back then. So,
Well, they still are.
they still are. But we destroyed all 12 tanks. As a matter of fact, we destroyed some APCs that were actually behind them as well. We actually destroyed like 6 APCs that were actually supporting the T-72s.
Right.
So, that's the most memorable thing I can remember, because it was the day before the ceasefire. I mean, we were already kicking the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. They were just running for their lives, but they still had some units that were dug in and still wanted to fight. So we picked them out.
You don't know what you don't know, right? And it was your job. And
but that's the most memorable thing I have about Desert Storm. February 27th, 1991.
Yeah, dates. Certain dates will stick with you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you have dates as well. When you're deployed. There's always things that you'll never forget.
Well, I was a weather guy, so it was all like dust storms and weather events. That's all I remember.
We just had to put it in the forecast.
There was this real big snowstorm. See you guys.
No, don't talk to yourself. Don't talk about yourself, man. I know what you guys do.
So how did you did the TACP thing? How'd you end up in the training side of the world?
Well, I ended up becoming a training NCO for the unit I was with in Germany.
Okay.
We had a division TACP at Würzburg, and so we would. I was a training NCO, so I was responsible for making sure all the training from their 623s, as well as back then they called it ETAC, but the JTAC, now they call it JTAC. But I was also responsible for all the JTAC training and all the certifications. So we would go. You ever been to Germany? I'm sure you have. Yeah.
I mean, I've stopped there on my way to Afghanistan.
Yeah. You stop there on the way to the shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so in Germany, they had 2 training areas. There was Hohenfels, which was a dry fire. It was pretty much a maneuver area where we just did practicing maneuvers. And then Grafenwehr was the live fire area. They actually had targets and actually dropped live bombs.
Nice.
So, so we got to do a lot of practice before we went to deserts on actual targets, and we actually had Russian equipment that we were bombing the shit out of.
Right.
So yeah, it was, Germany back then when during the Cold War era, I know we have different enemy now. The Soviet Union. They were very, very formidable force back then. And, that's why we had, at one time, we had 2 corps in Germany.
Yeah. Well, we were worried about them like rolling across the plains, right?
Well, there was one place that we thought that they would come into, and that was called Fulda Gap.
Yep.
If you ever want to read history, read about the Fulda Gap. I mean, we had set up our units to be able to respond to an infiltration at Fulda Gap. That was where they were going to come. Yeah. And they knew it, and we knew it. So we all practiced. We all trained for it. But yeah, it was a different enemy, a different time. The A10 was the shit back then. I mean, it still drives me nuts that they're thinking about retirement, because I just don't see them having anything to replace it.
It's hard when you've been on the ground when an A10 comes in and does its job.
Yeah.
So when they're like, we want to retire it with no clear successor, to not feel a certain way about it.
Yeah, I know. They talk about all the precision guided munitions, and I understand. I understand some of the weapons that we have now. You fire them from 30,000. You drop them from 30,000 feet.
Right.
And they guide themselves on the target. But there's nothing like that 30 millimeter at about 1,000 feet blowing the shit out of T-72. There's no sound like it. There's no sound. Yeah. It's amazing. Plus, like the Maverick missile, the Maverick, when it hits a tank, it's done.
Adios.
Yeah, so it was.
Well, those pilots get there's a different thing, right? Like if you have a high flying that drops from 30,000, it's not that we're not grateful. but the how close you get to the A10 pilot, because he's like right there.
Yeah.
You know, like you can see that guy.
Yeah.
He can see you. It's
Yeah.
a different type of relationship, I think, which I don't know. I think we get a little attached to it. You know?
I don't know if we've ever been to Gila Bend, Arizona.
No.
Did you ever go there? Well, that's a big bombing range that TACP uses. A lot of the southwestern TACP uses. It's in Arizona, and we would we would go down there occasionally and control air strikes. And one time I remember we had an A10. We wanted to get a Kodak. We wanted a Kodak moment.
Of course.
So I said, "Hey man, come in as low as you can over us. We want to take a picture." This guy came in so low. We had our HF antenna up that was about 30 feet high. He actually took the top of the HF antenna off. He hit the HF antenna.
Holy crap.
And, knocked us all down. We're all just watching. He just blew us all away, with the wash. We were just
rolling all over.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we asked him to do another pass, and there was about 6 of us TACPs there. So when he did another pass, we all moonlit out, gave him the ass. And those guys are great. The CAS pilots, the pilots that do CAS are a different breed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they're down there in the ship with us.
Right.
With the special warfare guys, with the Army guys. They're down there with us. So, it's we have a special bond.
Yep.
I always buy them a drink. If I know they're an A-10 pilot or an F-16 pilot, make sure you take care of them.
Absolutely. That's one big team at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the other guys about we all tend to fight when we're stateside.
Yeah.
But downrange, it's like one big happy family.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition in special warfare.
Yeah.
There always has been. When I was a TACP back in the Stone Age, there was, we always had a lot of competition with, especially combat control.
Yeah.
We used to call it like comedy control. That's what we used to call it. The PJs, and we didn't fuck with you guys because we never worked with you.
No one ever saw us.
I never worked with combat weather in my life. Never did when I was on active duty.
Only a few of us.
Yeah, that's true. But we messed with the PJs and we messed with the TACPs and the combat controllers. But when it came to operations, when it came to serious training, we all worked together like we were brothers. We are.
Yep. Oh, speaking of brothers, you guys are here at the RoundUp. There's a bunch of. I'm surprised at how many younger looking guys, and I'm getting older too. So a lot of the guys look young to me. What's it like seeing the next latest generation of TACPs roll off the line?
Well, it's crazy because where we worked at, where the pipeline for the special warfare troops, the TACP pipeline has changed just immensely. When I went through, there was no prep course, there was no nothing. You went from basic training to TACP course, and you know how the physical training for TACP is just like yours, just like all special warfare.
Yeah.
Their whole purpose is to God, I forgot the word. To blow you away.
To break you down, see what you're made of.
Yeah.
See if you're willing to. Yeah.
Basic training was a joke, compared to what you and I went through.
Right.
As far as our pipeline. But it's even gotten more intense because it used to be where a TACP would go to his 14-week course and then he goes straight to his first duty assignment. And depending on what the mission of the unit was, if it was airborne, then you go to jump school.
Yep.
If it was air assault, you go air assault. Depending on what unit you went to is what kind of training you got.
Right.
So, I didn't go to jump school until I'd been a TACP for like 4 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. And like survival school wasn't a prerequisite either.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was depending on your job, depending on your career, your position as to whether you need to go to survival school.
Right.
So, yeah, it's changed. And, I'm on a lot of Air Force Facebook groups, and I have a lot of guys at my age, and they're always whining and complaining about the guys on active duty right now. You know, oh, these guys are soft. Look at them; they're wearing beards. They don't have any discipline. You know, and I say, look, you don't know. You don't know what these guys go through. I mean, even, you know, like when I'm with the job I'm at now, we're responsible for basic training, and they do a lot more PT than we did. Well, maybe not you, but than I did in basic training.
Right.
And even the security forces, they get a lot more training than, you know, what they used to be.
Right.
You know, they're a formidable force now. It's not just, you know, they're a cop.
Yeah.
You know, they get a lot of small unit tactics. You know, they get a lot more weapons training than they used to. You know, so I spend my time, you know, arguing with all the boomers. It's like, look, you might think that our military is weak. No, hell no. You know, yeah, and you're part of it. I mean,
I'm on my way out.
Yeah, but you're part of it. You know.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's my wife. But you're part of. You know, I'm proud to still work with the Air Force, and I'm proud to still work with guys like you, because I remember from 1980 when I joined the Air Force to now. I mean, the changes and the improvements are just amazing.
Yeah.
And even guys like you. I mean, I'm serious, and I'm not trying to toot your horn, but you know, you're a badass. You know, you are. I mean, anybody who's in special warfare is a badass, whether you want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
And
Jeff, you're killing me. My whole thing on the podcast, my shtick is to put myself down.
But you know, I'm proud to work with guys like you, and I'm proud to work with the Air Force, because the Air Force is the most powerful Air Force in history. Even today, I don't care what anybody says. You know, I don't care about how many changes that went through the Air Force. You know, the personnel changes, the openness that the Air Force has. You know, it's still the most formidable branch, most powerful unit.
Yep. I think we've proven it over the last 20, 40 years.
Oh yes,
We've done good work.
Yeah.
So we have to end with the podcast. We talk to a lot of young folks that are thinking about joining.
Right.
Speaking of, if someone's looking into special warfare or TACP specifically, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say train your ass off before you even go, because these guys are going to smoke you as soon as you show up. I mean, even the special warfare PT they do in basic training, they get smoked, but it's all for a good cause. You know, like I said, you guys are more physically trained, well trained. You know, you're more physically fit. You know, you've got better equipment. You guys are, you know, miles and miles above what we used to do.
Well, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, though. So, Jeff, it's good to see you again, man, and I appreciate it. And you know, we could sit around and tell Swick stories all day, or prep stories, and it was chaos. But if you see it now, it actually looks like a real program. So
yeah,
this is where it started.
I'd like to go back and see. I can see that.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for coming on here.
No problem, Trent.
Good to talk to you, brother.